It always fascinates me watching the British Open. Just from the perspective of the television, you're looking at what appears to be a flat surface, but in reality the greens are multi-leveled, multi-directional, and it takes a master of what they're doing to be able to read what's going on the greens and to be able to putt with any type of success. So many people want to become the next Tiger Woods, or they want to become the best golfer they can be, and so they pick out a few people that they try with all their might to be able to swing like them and to be able to putt like them, to be able to do all the different things that they can in order to be able to capture the success, say, a Tiger Woods has had. We will copy things. We will make adjustments so that we can match that style or that type of game, so to speak. It's not uncommon, whether it be in the world of sports, to find somebody in which you want to copy, or whether it be in the career path that you've chosen, or even as a student, you want to be able to do well like some of the others. We all have examples that we are to follow. I think back in my life of the spiritual mentors in my life that I wanted to emulate. Thankfully, God did a work in my life that I realized, hey, these people aren't perfect. They are sinners, but they pointed me to the one who was sinless. See, the problem with us following examples in the world is often things change. We've looked and we've seen the demise in the personal life of a Tiger Woods. We've seen that we've lifted people up on a pedestal, and all of a sudden they don't match in our minds what they thought they ought to be, and we're extremely crushed. Paul was dealing with a group of people in a Roman colony by the name of Philippi, and trying to deal with these people and trying to set up an example to them. And he said, look to me. I'm not perfect, but follow my pattern. And I think a lot of times you and I, we need to follow godly patterns. Not perfect, but godly patterns. We all need to find somebody who's trying to follow God with all of their heart, soul, mind, and strength, and work together and learn from one another and move forward and advance the kingdom of God in this world. Far too often we make copies of things that do not pass the litmus test. One of the biggest struggles and fears that I have as an individual is that I'm a pastor of a congregation and I'm not perfect. And I make tons and tons of mistakes every single day. But it bothers me that I could lead somebody astray. And I think Paul felt somewhat of that challenge. But still, he says we need to ask you to follow an example. This morning we're going to look at just 5 verses where Paul kind of talks about 3 different areas, and they all start with the letter F. He talks about following. He talks about fleeing. And he talks about focusing. The first thing he talks about is found in verse 17, where he says to follow. He says brethren, or brothers and sisters. Please understand that that's not just talking to men, but it's talking to all Christians. Join in following my example, and observe those who walk according to the pattern you have in us. See, Paul's talking about something that maybe we're not quite tuned into. There's people that are in that congregation that are making up Philippi's church, and they're trying to destroy it. They may not have that intention in destroying it, but they have come in and they have added things to the gospel. They have led people astray. There have been the extremes of the libertarian party where, eat, drink, and have pleasure and enjoy life. You're a Christian, it doesn't matter. So with the other extreme where you couldn't do anything because of all the laws and the regulations and everything. And Paul would just simply say to them, follow my example. Follow others that have this same pattern, this thing that's laid out. I can't sew worth a flip, but I can still remember my mom sitting down with a sewing machine, and she would take a pattern, and she would lay it down on the material, and she would cut along the lines. And she would then put all the lines together, and next thing you know, you'd hear her sewing, and then hear a few curse words in there between. Not really, you wouldn't hear the thing. But, oh, I missed a stitch. But she had this pattern to follow, and I think the Bible gives us a wonderful pattern to follow. So sick and tired of hearing people say, well, that's just words that are written in a book. It has no bearing on our lives. If you're a Christian, it has everything to do with your life. It's not just written there for us to just say, oh, I like that, or come to another part and say, oh, I don't like that. But it has everything to do with living the Christian life that we have. It is a pattern by which we can have. And he says to follow them. I got real tickled and I don't know why my mind has been in this funk lately, but I was sitting here and I was trying to come up with a title for the message. And all of a sudden, out of the resources of my brain, don't sit there and tell me things don't get into your brain and then come out. Because they do. The next thing I'm thinking about is Aerosmith, Walk This Way. And I'm thinking, and then somebody come up to me today and said, hello, dude. And I said, dude looks like a lady. I'm still in the Aerosmith brain. But, Seth asked me, who did you listen to growing up? Well, I said, only gospel music, son, only gospel music. And I thought, well, man, I had a little bit more influences than that. But to talk, and the word to use for walk is our daily conduct, how we live our life. Do you realize some people are watching you? They want to see how you handle adversity. They want to see how you handle success. They want to see how you handle conflict. They want to see if what you have is real to you. They want to know that you're willing to put aside the things of this world in order to honor God. Or do we want to keep one foot in both sides of the world? They watch. Everybody is observing you somewhere, somehow. They're watching you. The biggest slogan right now and that we see in the advertising world is when you go to Las Vegas, what is done in Vegas stays in Vegas. Is